And it's Jamie Wadey who will be whistled for the foul as we see a sub taken. Zoe Shanahan, who had a hot start, checks back into the game. And it's Danny Hamilton who'll see some minutes from the bench. 2.5 minutes to play here in the first quarter. All the way down the floor is Mangan. We saw her take a mid-range jumper not long ago. This time hands it off. Foul called. Looks like there'll be free throws here for McMahon. That time the foul ends up in a substitution. And subs taken, as I mentioned. Wadey is the one to check out of the game. And Sophie White on the floor here for the Blues. At the line for two, it's McMahon. She's been really good, McMahon, driving this offensive unit for Nunawading. Goes 1 of 2 at the free throw line. Frankston looking to find a score through Fagan. Unable to do so, so it's rebound basketball here for Spectres. Quickly down the floor where they lead it by 12 points. No foul called, a good defensive play on that occasion. And so the Blues, they need to come up with something with 2 minutes to play. Hurriedly down the court was Sophie White, and when you do it hurriedly, often leads to a turnover like it does on that occasion. And at the other end, a tough finish. And this Nunawading effort has been quite remarkable so far. Frankston looked like a deer in headlights, at least so far, but a chance to find something before quarter time. A foul is called. 2 points will count. And Talasaga it is, who'll head to the line for one more to cash in on that wonderful finish. Frankston will take the chance to have a sub, and Tora Fagan will check into the game for Madison Carr, who is well appreciated by the bench as she does so. So the free throw misses, but an opportunity for Fagan, but it goes missing. And quickly down the floor, how's this transition from Mangan, who is fouled? Looked a little bit worrisome for a moment when she hit the deck, but picks herself up and will have a chance to bank a couple of extra points at the free throw line. 1.5 minutes left in this first quarter. If you've just tuned in, apologies for any technical issues, but we are well and truly out and live on the Basketball Victoria platforms. Samantha Mangan at the line for a couple. Rattles home the first. And the second rolls out here. And so what can the Blues come up with? You can see the scoreline, 7-20. Close to a domination is how you describe this first quarter, but as we expected, and have a look at the defensive effort, Nunawading come in favourites tonight. A wonderful pass, a wonderful finish as well. Check out the bench, they're up and about. It's been a delightful effort to watch from the sidelines, and it's Madison Kemphausen who will try to go one better than her opponent, who was unable to finish the three-point play with one of her own, as we see a substitution taken by the Blues. Sophie Alexander, who registered the first score for Frankston earlier in the game, subbed out of the game. And Madison Carr back on to see out this last 1 minute and 8 seconds. And how about that finish? Nothing but nylon for Kemphausen. 23-7, a 16-point lead is what Nunawading currently have and what Frankston is staring down the barrel of heading into quarter time. Here's and she's whistled for the travel. Is Talasaga. And so both teams in foul trouble here. Nunawading being the one to exploit it so far. Here's McMahon all the way to the cup, and the finish is as glorious as the dribble. Utilises the glass to perfection, and Nunawading continue their scoring ways. Last time they met, they won 57-44. That was all the way back in round 3. And an offensive foul adds to the pain. Sataya Fagan, who, of course, we have such high expectations of, had 17 points in the prelim against Keilor, which, of course, the Blues won by some 22 points. Fagan had 14 points in the qualifying final against Casey, which they won by 13. Shanahan trying to find a score. Kicks out. Here's McMahon for three. We've seen a couple so far land, but not on that occasion. Staring down a couple of defenders was Fagan, and we're going to see a violation called by the referee. And so 12 seconds to make something of here for the Spectres. Mangan hands it off. Here's McMahon from way downtown. Was almost in the car park when that one was shot up. And the half-court hoik will matter little as the quarter-time siren sounds here. And the fans, well, they have well and truly rolled into court 4 here at the State Basketball Centre. Friday night VC Grand Finals. VJBL at its best. And you can see all the action across your other courts in the background as well. But on this court, it's 25-7, and for the Spectres fans who are unable to get along tonight, you'll be liking what you're seeing. And for the Blues, well, there's 3 quarters to turn things around. Plenty of basketball still to come, and of course, you can watch the under-16 boys, under-18 girls, and boys grand finals on the Basketball Victoria platform. So much basketball, and it's great to see after a couple of years of disruption, the action return, and it's returned in a big way.
You know that old saying that everyone will get their 15 minutes of fame? Yeah, not us. You see, greatness is what we're after. You don't need handles like Trey or a 3 like Cat.
You see, greatness is in all of us.
All you gotta do.
You gonna keep talking to yourself, or you gonna check up?
PlayStation.
And go. Real hustle, knew one day we're gonna pay off. Playtime mode is the big ring. Go.
Hey, yo,
Yo, what up, Zach?
what you got going on up there?
So it might not
Another
be the
goat
script
deserves
that the
goat
Blues
treatment.
have planned to ride.
We'll see how he
this
do.
Friday night,
we'll
but
see.
it doesn't stop the energy coming off the left of
PlayStation.
your screen. They come out with plenty of energy, and for Nunawading, well, they'll be satisfied with that first quarter. 25 points. Kemphausen had 7 of them alongside Zoe Shanahan, who had 7 of her own as well. And for Frankston, there's been a lot of sharing the load. Alexander, Fagan, Talasaga all had a couple each, and Wadey polished off a free throw. Samantha Mangan whistled for the foul, and she collects her first personal. Turning to the basket, does really well, did Jamie Wadey. Had 13 points in the qualifying final, 13 as well in the prelim final. And she has 5 to her name now. Nothing called on that occasion. So we're heading back down the Blues way, and the fans are starting to find their voice. Here's Fagan, the shining light in a highly successful team across this season. As I mentioned, they finished 4th with a 6-3 record. And how about Jamie Wadey giving something for the fans to cheer about? A minute into this second quarter, has a couple of scores already, almost a turnover from Vakakavu. But McMahon just slows things down decisively, hands it into Kennedy. Here's Mangan. She's drilled a 3 already tonight. Nothing doing on that occasion, and it ends up being an easy score for Danny Hamilton, who utilises the window to her benefit. Sophie White, not afraid, cranks open the doors of the bank on a Friday evening with a long 2. Referee perfectly placed to see where the toes were on that occasion. Here's McMahon, looks inside. The play runs. Kennedy hands off. In the paint now is Shanahan. And again, you feel like Frankston are just slowly turning things around here after a pretty disappointing. How about the spin move in the finish from Sataya Fagan? That's as good as you'll see. And you're seeing it at VJBL Under 16 Girls VC Grand Final. Timeout taken by the Spectres. And you can understand why. If you're in Coach Matthew Dixon's shoes, you're thinking this Frankston side has found something at quarter time. And they're a scary prospect when they're firing on all cylinders, as you can see. Of course, no pushovers. 23-point win against Keilor in the prelim. 13 points against Casey. And for Nunawading, well, we know their story. They finished second on the ladder. 6-2 and a draw was their record. They beat Casey in a pretty close one in the prelim, 55-50. And of course, it was McMahon, who we've seen really show her colours tonight. Had 18 points. Shanahan had 10. Qualifying final was a pretty close one as well. So they've been put under pressure, but shown that they can rise in the big moments. On that occasion, they beat Melbourne Tigers 64-56. And Shanahan, well, she had 24 points and led the way. Has 7 points and a couple of fouls. I went in a huge lot of foul trouble. Isabel Kennedy actually the one to watch with 3 personals. Of course, when they met last, it was Madison Carr with 17 points. And Danny Hamilton, who we've seen glimpses of for Nunawading, had 24 points. But someone who we've seen more than glimpses of, she's caught the attention of this competition. Sataya Fagan wants to come at the line. It rattles out for Fagan, and so not to draw any closer, at least so far. Spectres. Shanahan hands it off. Well, it was Fagan who got her hands in there when the pass came into Hamilton. And at the other end, Wadey looks to finish the layup and unable to do so. Out to Fagan. What about this time? Almost wedgies. And we're going to see a foul called. Spectres will have possession. First team foul called on Frankston for the quarter. How about the love for Sataya Fagan as she heads to the bench? It's as loud as a buzzer beater, the cheer was for Fagan. That spin move and finish with the foul was as tough as you'll see. But for the Spectres, they've settled now after that timeout. Travel won't help though. And so it'll be another turnover here in the Blues. Well, it's a 12-point game. Can draw it back into single digits in the 5.5 minutes left in this one. They'll have something to build off in the second half. Carr with the handoff to Atkin. Has a couple of fouls. Carr again, flicks it around, the extra pass, and a long 2. But this rebounding effort, this offensive rebound effort particularly, has been a real worrisome sign for Spectres. And again we see it. And again we see a shot lead to a foul. And Wadey will head to the line where she's pretty comfortable. Zoe Shanahan whistled for the foul on that occasion. And she picks up her 3rd personal. And the score bench official puts an extra flick on her presentation of the paddle. So the coach sees that she's got 3. And she's not the only one. Isabel Kennedy with 3 fouls as well. So that's probably something the Spectres will have to keep an eye on. There we go. Back to an 11-point game now. Subs taken by the Blues. Sophie White checks out of the game for the Blues. And Zoe Shanahan with 7 points. We'll see some minutes from the sideline for the Spectres. Here's McMahon. Wonderful point guard. One of the best in the league, if not the best. Hamilton tries to put it up, but no whistle comes only until the ball creeps out of court. And Isabel Kennedy, actually Kemphausen I should say, will inbound. Puts it through her legs. How's the ball control from McMahon? Sophie Alexander picks up the foul. That'll be her second. You're going to see some subs here. Jemima Lees will check into the game for Samantha Mangan. Has 4 points to her name. 11-point game, a chance for McMahon to extend it back to 13. Free throw shooting hasn't been anything to write home about, at least so far, for both sides. Wadey using her physicality comes up with a score. It is a 10-point game now. Potential turnover. It is a turnover. Atkin hands it off. At the elbow was Carr. Now Alexander turns to the basket. Gets the shoulders in line. And Jamie Wadey, hasn't she been incredible in this second quarter? More offensive rebounds than you'll see by some of the elite players. Is pulling down every board at the moment and wiping the glass squeaky clean. And for Danny Hamilton, well, this is the story that she's had. Aggressive to the basket, penetrates, leads to a foul. Madison Carr will pick up her first personal. Both teams with 3 team fouls now and still 4 minutes to play, so only halfway through this second quarter. Hamilton gets herself to 6 points. (30-20) is the scoreline. 10 points separates. 4 minutes left before the main break. Grand Final VC Championship, VJBL. Nunawading taking on the Frankston Blues. Here's an opportunity. It's another long two. Rolls it in. Does Madison Carr. Hamilton looks to respond. Hands it off. Bodies fly everywhere. And oh my goodness, it was almost an incredible block. I think the body contact did her over in the end. And Jamie Wadey, who's been incredible, as I mentioned, will pick up her second personal. A key piece for the Blues. Kennedy, we'll see a couple of free throws go up. Rocks the backboard on that one. Second one waved away by the referee. Not sure how it should be. It was not like the rebound has impeded the shot maker. In a negative way, at least. 3-point shot goes up from Sophie Alexander. Catches a bit of the iron, but not a whole lot more. Hamilton hands it off. Another turnover here for the Blues. They'll run it down the floor, but hands reaching in there. And it was nicely done by Taya McMahon to slow things down and knock the ball out of court. We're going to see a sub here. So Taya Fagan. Well, fair to say Frankston have held their own without Fagan on the floor. As good as she is, this Frankston team has depth. And they're going to need to use it to claw this one back. Atkin hands it off. There's Fagan. Elbow jumper. Nothing doing. Hamilton, ball in hand, will hand it off to the point guard. And McMahon was met by Vakakavu. Kennedy. Offensive foul. It's going to hurt Nunawading. Isabel Kennedy, if I'm not wrong, will pick up her 4th personal. And I'm not wrong. It is her 4th, and both teams with 4 team fouls. Score bench official just hoping to catch the attention of the coach. And I think they're aware of it. I'm going to see a 3-second violation. The basket will be waved away. Jamie Wadey planted herself in there. And the referee spotted it. 2.5 minutes left in this second quarter. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. Well, thanks to Basketball Victoria. You're watching VJBL VC Grand Finals. McMahon. She has 5 points. It's all about this dribbling ability. Here's Kennedy, hands it off to Camphausen. Streaking around with Lees. And back to McMahon now. 4 seconds left on the shot clock. They're going to have to come up with something. Ends up in the hands of Hamilton with their 7 points. Looks to make it 9. But as you see, the outcome wasn't as fruitful as she hoped. 2 offensive players, 1 defender. Fagan exploits it. And Jemima Lee's left with little choice but to throw her hands in the cookie jar. And she'll pick up her first personal. So both teams in the bonus. Subs taken here for the Spectres. It will be Zoe Shanahan. She has 3 personals, but 7 points. So we're rolling the dice here. But before we do anything, well, Frankston requests a timeout, but score bench too slow to react. Fagan unable to make the first free throw. And in fact, she's unable to make either and violates on the rebound. And so 9-point game, we see a timeout taken. 2 minutes and change left before the main break. It looked to be some sort of a blowout at quarter time. It was 17 points the margin in favour of the Spectres, but Frankston have done a really good job to settle after quarter time. And they've done it off the back of an incredible support that have shown out here for the Blues. And of course, it's not to say that Nunawading are lacking. They've got serious spectators here as well, giving plenty of noise and atmosphere here. And between the 3 courts here at the State Basketball Centre, the atmosphere is fairly electric.
And go. Real hustle, knew one day we're gonna pay off. Playtime mode is the big ring. Go.
So Kennedy hands off to McMahon. Ball in hand, step back. Oh, that's fresh. Eat your heart out, James Harden. That was a step back for the ages. Here's Alexander, hands off to Vakakavu. Inside was Atkin. We see a turnover. It was nicely done by the defense of Nunawading. And the mid-range jumper goes up early in the shot clock. See a foul called, and it'll be Spectres who will have a couple of free throws bonus here. Foul called on Jamie Wadey, who I'm afraid will pick up her 3rd personal. Subs taken here for the Blues. Jamie Wadey, as I mentioned, with 3 personals. We'll see some minutes, or a minute and a half, I should say, from the sideline. And so pushed beyond double digits now, as I mentioned, just leading into this quarter. If the Blues could bring it back within single digits, they've got something to build on, but Spectres showing their worth. Here's Fagan shooting over 5 defenders. And in the end, it's forced up by Charlotte Atkin, but no trouble for her, who rolls it in for 2 points, 24-34. Minute to play before halftime. Here's McMahon, gets past the defender, pops it out. And a travel is called. Couldn't see it from my angle. Shuffled her feet, I gather, before the shot went up, and so 50 seconds left. Couple of possessions to decide this one. Fagan hands it off. Oh, it's wonderfully done by Talasaga, who just reaches under a defender's arm and tosses it up, mostly in hope, but it was glory to be provided. And at the other end, it was Danny Hamilton. Draws a foul. And Madison Talasaga, who is whistled for it, will pick up her second personal. So there's been no shortage of fouls called tonight. Both teams being aggressive at the basket. Frankston have probably just retreated a bit more from their shot taking in recent minutes, which has sort of been what slowed their momentum. But for now, they're well and truly in the game. And for the Spectres, oh, they'll be pleased with their first half. No doubts about it. The missed free throw from Hamilton almost leads to another chance through the hands of Shanahan. There'll be 2 bonus free throws here for Fagan, who's fouled up the court, trying to bring the ball past halfway. Jemima Lees, I think it will be, whistled for her second personal. And it is. So Sataya Fagan. Oh, no shortage of pressure. Fair to say we're packed in here from a supporter's perspective. And as I said just a few possessions ago, free throw shooting from both teams has left a little bit to be desired, although our expectations for these under-16 athletes shouldn't be too high, at least at this stage. A skill that they work on across many years. 21 seconds left before halftime. Here's Shanahan back on the left hand. Hamilton will hand it off. Here's Shanahan. Looks for an option in the end. It's left in clean air. Yeah, it was a foul. It took a moment to be called. I think the referee was waiting to see if there was an advantage. There wasn't one because it ended up being a turnover. And so Zoe Shanahan, if I'm not wrong, will have 4 personals. Deary me, the foul trouble is really starting to bite for the Spectres. Shanahan and Kennedy, both with 4 personals each. And we're not even at halftime. If Shanahan's going to play limited minutes in the second half, given she had some 24 points in that qualifying final match against Melbourne, she's going to be a big missing piece. Didn't know if I'd be saying it at quarter time when they're trailing by 17 points or so, but it's a 6-point game with 3 seconds left before the main break. Nunawading ball. It'll take some sort of effort to find a score here from the baseline at the opposition end. McMahon comes up with it. She'll dribble it up to halfway and toss it up in hope. In fact, the siren's going to sound and they'll draw to a close. And you'll notice they're not the team that's winning, but they're the team that's celebrating at least at halftime, because they've turned around what looked like a very one-sided affair into almost a 50-50 given where the momentum sits. 29-35 is the score at halftime. A couple of minutes to think that one through, and then we'll be back with all the three-quarter time action. To Zoe Shanahan. Finish quickly down the floor is Fagan, and she should finish. Wonderful lengths with ball in hand. Hands it off to Danielle Hamilton, who fancies herself from the 3. And now for 3, it is good by Samantha Mangan. And at the other end, a tough finish. They finish 4th with a 6-3 record. And how about Jamie Wadey? Again, hands it off. Oh, it's wonderfully done by Talasaga, who just reaches.
Congrats, I'm a big fan.
Thank you. PlayStation.
two halves to a game of basketball. In the first half, while the pendulum swung at quarter time, it looked like it was going to be an easy win for the Nunawading Spectres. And they're leading by 17 points, but how they've turned it around, the Blues. Hamilton, though, what a start for Danny Hamilton in this second half. Gets herself to 10 points with that score. First player in double digits, and has kept the heart beating, I should say, for the Spectres. Speaking of beating hearts, this young woman has plenty of it. And how about the finish from Jamie Wadey? And she's the one player in double digits for Frankston, now with 12 points. I'm going to see a foul here. It was McMean who was pushed off her line. Vaka Carville, I think it is, whistled for the foul. That'll be her third personal, so no shortage of foul trouble for either side now, but the ones to watch, Zoe Shanahan with 4 fouls and Isabel Kennedy with 4 of her own. Well, Frankston supporters were demanding defense, and someone that provided a whole heap of it was Sataya Fagan, guarding the inbound pass, comes up with it, takes the ball all the way down the floor, and well, you saw it happen from there. So Nunawading lead at 37-31. Fagan a chance to bring it back to a 4-point game. Nothing but nylon on the first free throw. State Basketball Centre is full of energy and noise here. Some of the elite coaches watching on from the sideline. But the brains ticking over the two coaches for the Frankston Nunawading sides. 4-point game, 37-33. Foul called. It will be Charlotte Atkin who gets her third personal. Left with a bit of a corridor, as you would have seen, was Kemphausen. And she was able to narrowly sneak her way in and draw a foul. And I think that will be Atkin as well. And we're going to see an immediate substitution. So the first player for Frankston to get into real foul trouble, she'll head to the bench. Atkin, Sophie White replaces her, who has a clean sheet in the foul column at least so far. Madison Kemphausen, attention turns to her at the free throw line. The other thing we saw a lot of in that first quarter was that outside shooting from Nunawading. Samantha Mangan and Danny Hamilton not afraid to drill one from the three-point line. Haven't seen any of that sort of outside shooting. They've looked largely inside, where Frankston have been able to collapse defensively and make it difficult, largely through that woman. You're seeing it receive the ball inside. Jamie Wadey. It's got to be a travel, and is. Comes down with it. It was good defense from Nunawading, so both sides looking to be aggressive, penetrating into the paint. Oftentimes fruitful, but not on that occasion for Wadey, who travels. Kendall Irvine playing minutes out there for the Spectres, but right now it's Kemphausen who is making light work of the defense at the moment, forcing the foul. And in some 1.5 minutes of play here, Frankston have picked up 4 team fouls. Spectres need to exploit it. Kemphausen rattles home the second. Fans on the right side of your screen are appreciative. This full court pressure from the Spectres comes up trumps only momentarily, though, because the Blues have broken past it with possession all the way down to the cup. Almost rattled it in. Did Trinity Vakakavu, but unable to finish it. There's one there presenting, and eventually she receives it. But it was too late once the defense collapsed from a Frankston perspective. be a foul called. A little bit of disbelief from Jemima Lees, who will see her third personal foul etched in her column. Subs taken for the Blues. Madison Carr returning to the floor. Fans give some love to Sophie Alexander. 4 points to her name. Inside is Fagan. Saw an incredible spin move from her. You'll see that in the highlight reel during the week. Sophie White unable to finish the mid-range jumper. McMahon hands off. Crowd involved. Jemima Lees. Kendall Irvine. Here's McMahon. Draws the foul. Madison Carr will pick up her second personal. And of course, if you've just tuned in, two sides that finished top four at the end of the season. Frankston with a 6-3 record finished fourth and had wins against Keilor and Casey in the finals. The Spectres' trajectory was a 6-2 and a draw. 55-50 they beat Casey in the prelim. Prior to that, it was a win over Melbourne by 8 points. And it culminates right now. 8-point game. Spectres lead at 41-33. Blues need to find a score. Dribbles inside. A wonderful finish off the window for Trinity Vakakavu. And that will be her first score, and what a way to make an entry onto the score sheet. McMahon hands it off to Irvine, looking inside to Hamilton, but she's unable to hold on to it. Largely thanks to this Blues defense locking down. Here's Fagan. It's an easy as you like for Sataya Fagan. Four-point game, 41-37. Spectres still in the lead. They've led from start until now. And again, we see fouls every time Spectres are dribbling to the basket. Frankston just closing out too hard on the penetration dribble. Jemima Lees making no mistake of the free throw. 5-point game. Can Lees push it out to 6? Nunawading yet to be in real foul trouble from a team perspective at least. Of course, we know the story of Zoe Shanahan and Isabel Kennedy with 4 each. Clocked them up early before half-time. Here's Fagan. Carr looks inside. Jamie Wadey turns to the basket, scores. 4-point game now. 4.5 minutes left before three-quarter time. Which team will bite first with a timeout, perhaps? Momentum swinging every time the ball goes down the floor, it seems. 3-point basket, not to be for Irvine, who's yet to score. Fagan with 9 points. Can she get into double digits? Her ability to spin is as good as any washing machine you'll see. Here's McMahon. Oh, the drive, the finish from Jemima Lees is wonderful. And then plays defense up the court in this full court press that the Spectres have used when things have looked rough and the waters looked choppy. Here's Fagan, a big shot, a big moment. Rattles out, but only barely. Hamilton, I think, will be the one to whistle for the foul. Comes streaming in for the rebound and makes a whole lot of body contact, and will be her third personal. Subs taken for the Spectres. Samantha Mangan returns to the floor, and Kendall Irvine gets the cheers of her spectators. Not too far away here in Wanturna South is Nunawading. A long ball from Sataya Fagan. Left a bit to be desired. Here's McMahon. Kemphausen. Hamilton. Now it is McMahon. Outsized by her defender. Quickly down the floor. All the way to the cup. It was Vakakavu who draws a foul. Samantha Mangan, I thought it might be, whistled for the foul. Gets her second personal. Jamie Wadey met with a wonderful raucous reception as Madison Talasaga returns to the floor. Five-point game it is. Frankston come up with the O board. Can't come up with a score though, was Fagan. Still the 9 points, yet to make her way into double figures just yet. The three ball goes up from Mangan. The rebounder, Hamilton it was, travels in the process of coming down with the board as we see troubling scenes here for Zatea Fagan, who's limping to the bench with some sort of right leg injury by the looks of things. And so we're going to see a timeout here for both coaches to talk things over.
Congrats, I'm a big fan.
Thank you. PlayStation.
Possession in the hands of Nunawading. Kemphausen hands it off to McMahon. Jemima Lees puts it to the floor, and then we see it flipped around this three-point line. Here on court 4 at the State Basketball Centre. Frankston come up with a steal all the way down the floor, and should be an easy finish for Madison Carr. Does exactly that, uses a bit of the window. And we're going to see 2 bonus free throws in the process of the inbound, and it's Trinity Vakakava, who appears to have committed the sin on that occasion. In the process, will pick up her 4th personal. We'll head straight to the bench. Sophie Alexander to replace her. She'll be deployed, no doubt, Vakakava, in the final period. And for Tay McMahon, chance to get herself towards double digits. 9 points now with that made free throw. The rumble of feet stomping, not to distract McMahon. They're going to need to inbound this one, eventually does so. Blues get it over halfway. Here's Alexander. White. And now Alexander again. A 3-ball, much needed. Wouldn't land for Frankston. So 2 minutes left here for Nunawading. They lead at 47-42 if you've just tuned in. VJBL VC Finals under 16 girls. Highest level of basketball for this age in the state. And as you can see from Kemphausen, who not only scores but then guards the inbound, comes up with a turnover. McMahon a chance, pulls down the O-board, and so a costly turnover for Frankston. Spectres, where can they find a score? 14 on the shot clock, ticking down the long 2. Nothing doing. Eventually the foul comes, and it'll be 2 bonus free throws for Alexander. McMahon, well, that will be her first personal foul, so no such worries for her. crowd have filed into every nook and cranny of Court 4 here to witness this one. It's a good one too. 49-43. Spectres in front. Minute and change to go in this third quarter. Let your friends and family know. Basketball Victoria platforms and a travel violation. Madison Kemphausen. She might have 13 points, but should give up a couple, I reckon, to have that moment back. Tora Fagan inbounds for Frankston. Here we go. Can the Blues come up with a score? It looks all right. You would have seen from your angle. McMahon pulls down the board and will have no trouble bringing the ball down the floor. Blows by her defender and commits an offensive foul. A tough call. Referee adjudicates it was an extension of the armbar of some description from McMahon. Look for mine. She was just doing what point guards do, but enough to warrant a foul on this occasion. Step back triple. Madison Carr looking to crank open the doors to the bank on a Friday evening. I see a foul called here, and a couple of free throws will come for Sophie White. A chance to draw back this 6-point margin. Jemima Lees will have 4 personal fouls to her name now. Just the latest of the Spectres side to have 4 fouls. She joins Isabel Kennedy and Zoe Shanahan. 3 players now will see serious minutes from the bench to avoid being fouled out. Beautiful free throw shooting from Sophie White. We've been calling for it. It's arrived when it matters. 4-point game, 49-45. Less than a minute before three-quarter time. An offensive foul is whistled. Nunawading getting no luck with the whistle, as Danielle Hamilton will not just get whistled for the foul, but become the 4th Spectres player to have 4 personal fouls. It's a 4-point game. Both teams in team foul trouble. Frankston, a chance to draw it closer. 4-point game. Here's Shanahan. I should say Sophie White. And here she is with the ball in hand again. Gets past the defender who went in the air and then pull up for a jumper. A fresh shot clock, but it seldom matters when the ball falls out of court for Frankston. So the Spectres will have the shot clock turned off. 19 seconds. Nunawading to inbound the ball. They'll need to get it in though, taking every part of their 5 seconds allowed. And here's McMahon. Gets it over halfway. Counting down to 10 seconds on the game clock. Here's Hamilton. Had 12 points, flicked it around. They're going to have to come up with something here. 5 seconds. McMahon, in the process of getting to the basket, is fouled. And McMahon, with 2.8 seconds left, will have free throws. No mistake of the free throw. 11 points she has to her name now. Has been a huge part of this Spectres team in recent weeks. Qualifying through, had 18 points in the prelim. Siren will sound. The shot won't matter. Both teams will have to reckon with this 6-point margin. Nunawading will need to find a way to hold on. When Frankston came flying back into this game in the second quarter, Nunawading, they licked their wounds at halftime. And for Frankston, well, it's been one big energetic rush for the Blues. What can they come up with 1 quarter to play in the VCV JBL Grand Final? A very healthy crowd rolled in, and they've seen a good one. And if you're watching on at home, I surely hope you're enjoying it.
Hey, yo,
Yo, what up, Zach?
what you got going on up there?
Just another goat deserves goat treatment.
We'll see how he do.
Yeah, we'll see.
PlayStation
1 quarter to decide who will be VJBL VC champions in under 16 girls for season 2022. Months and months of travelling across the city, across the state. Plenty of games down in Latrobe against Gippsland United in this higher division of under 16 girls. But right now, it's two sides on the eastern side of Melbourne. Nunawading and Frankston, two famous clubs battling it out. And the shot went up for Trinity Vakakavu, who's back on the floor with 4 personal fouls. Unable to score. So 7 minutes 42 left to decide who will be victors and who will be runner-up. Danny Hamilton fighting hard to the basket. What a game she's had. 14 points. Joins Jamie Wadey, I should say, in leading all scorers. Shannon. Oh, how's the shot there? It was a wonderful pull-up jumper. She saw the moment, did Sophie Alexander, and when the moment came, she arrived and scored. Like she knows best. 7 points for her. 3 fouls, though. 4 plays for the Spectres on 4 personal fouls. That is as good as you'll see from Samantha Mangan. All the way to the cup and a wonderful finish. A foul is called, first of the final period. Samantha Mangan gets 3 personal fouls. And so Sataya Fagan, Jamie Wadey check back into the game. They do so for Sophie White and Madison Talasaga, I should say. And here she is, Sataya Fagan, trying to get herself into double digits. Comes up with it again thanks to Jamie Wadey. Rolls it home for 2 points. It's Fagan. Down the floor, contact made, nothing whistled. Here is Zoe Shanahan, unable to finish for 3. That would have just about blown the roof off this building. Thank God they're building a multi-million-dollar construction nearby. Jamie Wadey hands it off for Sophie Alexander. She has 7 points. Ball falls out of court, and so Nunawading, they look the goods. Couple of minutes into this final period. Can they hold on? 55-49, the Spectres lead. They were second on the ladder when regular season came to an end. Frankston Blues have made a serious run from 4th place. The 6-3 record across the back half of that season. The shot went up for Samantha Mangan. He looked to add to her 6 points, but unable to do so. Just the 1 team foul whistled in this one. Going to see a carry ball violation whistled on Sataya Fagan. Not something you see a whole lot of at this level. That was enough of the hand. 180 degrees around the ball to warrant a call that time. And so Trinity Vakakavu, who picked up her 4th personal in the 3rd quarter, returns to the floor. And Sophie Alexander, it is, who will stay out the next couple of minutes at least, I would imagine, from the bench. Final period. Crowd involved here. Watching on from all angles and at home. 3-point basket. Nothing doing for the Spectres. Wadey puts a defender on the floor. They've got 3 behind him now. 3 on 2. Pull-up jumper is good off the backboard for Madison Carr. 4-point game. Will Taya McMahon be the one to find a score for Nunawading here? She's had 12 points. Ken Powson hands it off to Danny Hamilton. It was well intercepted. A turnover when Nunawading could have gone without one, it'd be fair to say. Frankston all of a sudden clawing back this one. And Jamie Wadey, when it's been handed into her, she's either scored or drawn a foul. And that is no anomaly. Subs taken. Tora Fagan out of the game. Charlotte Atkin with 4 personals. They fight for the rebound, and Spectres turn what looked like could have been an offensive rebound for the Blues into a solid defensive rebound, and we'll have possession. One possession game though, 55-52. Look at the crowd. They no longer have their backsides pressed up against the wall, and they're well and truly leaning into it. 8 seconds left on the shot clock. A wonderful pass, but the finish is no good for Hamilton. It was Mankin watching on going, make this an assist. But the statisticians out there won't have much work to do. Sataya Fagan almost finishes, but Jamie Wadey pulls down the offensive rebound. I don't have the live stats in front of me, but if I did, that would surely say double-digit offensive rebounds for Jamie Wadey. That's the one area that's missing from this Nunawading side. They are outsized, but are they outclassed? They are on this occasion. Sataya Fagan comes up with it. But just as quickly as she stole it, it was stolen back by Taya McMahon. And again, turnovers at either end. Who's going to hold on to the ball here? Composure will win the day. The pass came into Wadey, and look how she gets Hamilton on her back. Should have finished, couldn't. They fight for the rebound, and a jump ball will see Nunawading return possession. I just wonder if Spectres need to make an adjustment for Jamie Wadey. You just feel the more that comes into her, that 17 points could burgeon to 20 and beyond. She had 13 points, did Wadey, in the preliminary final, 13 in the qualifying final, has played a huge part in this one. Turning back to the basket was Zoe Shanahan, who's, of course, missed plenty of this second half with 4 personals in the first half. Back out there, making an impact. Last time they met, Nunawading led 51 at 57-44. Well, it'll be a very different scoreline at the very least, one would imagine, tonight. And how the Spectres appreciate that whistle. Zoe Shanahan fell to the deck, and an offensive foul was called in the process. And level heads, as I say, will win the day. Jamie Wadey with 4 personal fouls. Charlotte Atkin and Vakakavu also with 4 players for the Spectres in foul trouble as well. Kemphausen kicks it around to Zoe Shanahan, pulls up at the elbow, fancies her chances, and why wouldn't you? 5-point game, 59-54. Less than 3 minutes left in this one. Will it come into Wadey? No, it won't, but in the end, it's Charlotte Atkin, who, when the moment arrived for her, took it with both hands. But who's going to have 2 hands around the VJBL VC Under-16 Girls Cup come the end of this one? 1 possession game. We've seen how turnovers have impacted this final quarter. Here might be another one. Well defended by Mangan. It's going to be a foul there. It's a big one. Charlotte Atkin's going to pick up her 5th. Charlotte Atkin, 4 points. 5 personals. Compulsory substitution. So the fans continue to roll in. 59-56, as you can see on your screen. 2 minutes 18 is what it reads on the scoreboard in terms of time left. Who will have the composure when it matters? McMahon steps back and hands off to Hamilton. And the cookie jar was left ajar for Sophie Alexander, who reaches in and comes out with a choc chip. Madison Carr hands it off. The shot was no good. It was Vakakavu who put it up. Vakakavu, I should say. Jump ball called. Frankston will have possession from the baseline. A fresh shot clock to work with. Inbound. Comes to Alexander. Contact made. Blows by and finishes as Alexander. Has 9 points. 1 point game. 59-58. Spectres. Can they extend this 1 point margin, or will Frankston come up with a turnover? They've led for barely a second. Vakakavu was handed it on a platter. Quickly down the floor. McMahon defends well. but not well enough to not draw a foul. Referee says she came across and body contact was enough to warrant a pushing foul. And so all the pressure turns to Trinity Vakakavu, who will have a chance to drag her Blues from a 17-point deficit or something around that at quarter time to the lead with 1.5 minutes to play in the final period. Left the first one short. Look at this crowd. They've filled up the windows. They've filled up the baselines. Sidelines are being stepped on. Second free throw is good. All tied up. The crowd is on the court. Someone's going to have to step in. This is extraordinary. 1.5 minutes. 1 minute 38 to be precise. Here's Mangan. Hamilton. Hands it off and we see Sataya Fagan. I'm not sure anyone would have said Frankston will come in favourites tonight, but they are looking the favourites now. Fagan draws contact. Samantha Mangan left with little choice but to make contact. Picks up her 4th personal. And Nunawading now with 4 team fouls. Sataya Fagan. How will she perform at the charity stripe? Nothing but net. One half of the arena on their feet, the other half on the edge of their seat. Frankston in the lead by 1. And that's all it will be. But how about the rebounding effort from Vakakavu? In the process, lands out of court. 60-59, Frankston in the lead. 1 minute 25 remains. Can the Spectres turn it around, steer this ship back into cleaner waters? An unsportsmanlike foul is called, a foul made before the ball was inbounded. Not something you see a whole lot of, but we know the rules and regulations around that one. If you foul before the inbound, automatic upgrade is my understanding. And so not only will Ty McMahon walk the length of the floor to regain the lead for the Spectres, it will be Spectres' possession on the other side. Not made any easier by the Frankston team who have showed up. He's good with the second. And so as loud as this Frankston team can generate in the stands, Nunawading are meeting the moment as well. 60 apiece. Could you ask for much more? Could we see overtime to decide the under-16 girls VC VJBL Grand Final? Someone's going to have to tell this crowd to take a step back on the baseline. Extraordinary energy in here on court 4 at the State Basketball Centre. Here's McMahon looking for an option. Eventually finds one, and Danny Hamilton is good enough to draw a foul. It'll be the 4th team foul. It'll be Sophie Alexander who'll collect her 4th. So many players teetering on the edge of expulsion from the court here with 4 personal fouls. Mangan to inbound. So much pressure on these young women. Oh, that is a tough call. You could see it. I wasn't sure if there was a whole lot to it, but Vakakavu made sure the ref spotted it. And McMahon is whistled for her 4th. Frankston turn it around. We'll have possession. 60 each. A minute and change to play. All the way to the cup, unable to finish, but Jamie Wadey was there. Rattles at home, uses every centimetre of the iron and lead it by 2 to the Blues. But at the other end, the layup goes begging. Frankston need to slow things down. Can Nunawading come up with a stop? Shot clock runs down. 15 seconds now. Almost turns it over, but ends up in the hands of Madison Carr. Here's Sophie Alexander. Vakakavu all the way around. Turns it over. Ends up watching on from the baseline. Almost turning it over on the way up the court. Offensive players outnumber defensive players. Taya McMahon finishes truly with a layup off the window. 30 seconds left. 62 each. Frankston now. Can they find a score? Vakakavu looks inside and they go to the well. Jamie Wadey, not only it's a whole bunch of contact, finishes. Referees leave the whistle untouched. Rightly so. Let's let this game play out. 25 seconds left. What a game of basketball. Jamie Wadey, 19 points, make it 21 for number 25, who's surely the pick for MVP. Has been an unstoppable force, meeting an entirely movable object, at least in this last 3 quarters. And for Nunawading, they'll have to find a score here. They'll have a chance to advance the ball down the floor or take it from their end. If they do so, it'll be 14 seconds left on the shot clock. Both teams in foul trouble, a chance to go to the line if they can draw a foul. And for Nunawading, well, they have a chance after Jamie Wadey polished off that layup, spinning to the basket. They led by almost 20 points at quarter time, did the Spectres. And how this Frankston side using this crowd to their benefit. Have a listen to them. What can the Spectres come up with? They'll advance the ball past halfway. And it'll be Zoe Shanahan to inbound. So many players in foul trouble. If overtime becomes a factor, that will become a factor. Can they draw a foul and head to the free throw line? The crowd are packed in. The play commences. The pass into Hamilton was intercepted. And so no time really lost on that occasion. Crowd being told to just make some room. Here's Camphausen. Hands it off. What are they going to come up with? All the way inside. It's off hands. It's going to be Frankston ball. The bench are believing. Frankston are believing. Timeout taken by the Blues, and they do believe. Never to be written off. After such a sluggish first quarter, it's taken time to build into this one. That 57-44 win for Nunawading in round 3. Merely a blip on the radar across this Frankston season, finishing 4th on the ladder. A chance now to close off season 2022 as VJBL champions. The pinnacle of basketball for these young women in the state of Victoria. .9 seconds is what's left. And so final messages given by the coaches. For Nunawading, a turnover would be ideal. Perhaps an early foul to send Frankston to the free throw line. Take in the atmosphere. If you're watching on from home, the fans here certainly are. Bakakavu will inbound for the Blues. Movement off the ball. Nunawading will be careful not to foul and create what we just saw a moment ago with an automatic upgrade. Into Wadey now. Defense closing out, but will hold on to it for as long as she needs. Hands it off now. Carr. Time might just expire here. They can't get a turnover. Frankston will have free throws. And Spectres have heads in hands. And we're going to see 5 fouls whistled here. And it's Samantha Mangan who will watch on this final 3 seconds from the bench as Jemima Lees returns to the floor. So much pressure on these free throws. Unable to finish the first. How about this second to make it a 3-point game? A miss is probably what they wanted. Oh, a foul's called. We're going to see free throws. Well, that is a consequential one. And Danny Hamilton, I tell you what, from a Frankston perspective, all you really needed to do was not foul. And that's exactly what they've done. And so Sophie Alexander can't quite believe what's just happened. And for Danielle Hamilton, these 2 free throws will decide Nunawading's fate. Is good on the first. Is as good as you can ask for. 1 free throw to come. It looked like Frankston had finished this one off just a few seconds ago. 1 free throw for Dani Hamilton, surely the most consequential of her young career. And as if only to build the tension even further, referees consulting now. And Hamilton, who surely would have just wanted to polish off a couple of free throws, will have plenty of time to think about this second one. 1 point game, 1 free throw remaining. We saw the foul up the court committed by Sophie Alexander. Fouled out of the game. Dani Hamilton, 1.6 seconds left. A chance to send this into overtime. Hamilton has 15 points. Can she make it 16? This is the moment. She is as good as you could ask for on the second. Nunawading fans rejoice. They're still in this one. And the Nunawading Spectres and Frankston, well, they just about had written their name on the cup. But the engraver will have to just remove his pen for just a moment because there is still game to be played. 64 each. Danielle Hamilton has 16 points, but one could argue, and I think quite truthfully, that those last 2 were the most important she's had and potentially across her entire young career. Overtime beckons here at the State Basketball Centre. .6 seconds left. Frankston will have possession. Can they find a way to score with so little time left and potentially create a highlight moment? Or will we see free basketball? 1.6 seconds left. Charlotte Atkin will inbound for this blue side. All tied up, 64 each. Fans watching on, edge of their seat. Ball comes in, shot goes up. Can't catch anything. Overtime is what will be left for these 2 teams to ponder. Overtime. An extraordinary match of basketball will require extra time. Dani Hamilton can't stop thinking about those free throws. When the pressure was at its highest, she delivered.
Playtime mode is the big ring.
Go! Perfect release from the top of the key. 3 step back, pull up, switch cheese, slam. Got the crowd out their seats. 1 step closer to the big ring.
4 side seats is the big bag. Hit a jumping red shot, get them big mad. Real hustle, knew one day we're gonna pay off. Playtime mode is the big ring. Go!
Will it be Jamie Wadey when the ball comes into her? She has 4 personal fouls. Not the only one. In fact, 2 players already fouled out of the game. Samantha Mangan, Charlotte Atkin for both sides with 5 each. 4 personals from an Nunawading perspective for Kennedy, McMahon, Lees, Shanahan, and the saviour, Dani Hamilton. And for Frankston, I should say, Sophie Alexander also fouled out of the game, I should say, with 5 personals. Trinity Vakakavu with 4. Wadey with 4. Carr with 4. Both teams have exceeded their limit when it comes to team fouls in this quarter. The message we're all saying in that second quarter was if Frankston can draw back this game to single digits, they might just make a chance of it. One could say with 1.3 seconds left, they had polished this one off, but now there's 5 minutes left. So much time. And the crowd is only building. Streaming around and receives it with Zoe Shanahan. Comes back inside. Knocked out of her hands. No foul called. Camphausen will inbound. Referee signals 12 seconds remaining on the shot clock. McMahon is out this side, camera side. But instead goes to the left-hand side. Ball comes inwards now. Here's Hamilton. Fakes one way, turns the other. Kisses the window. And the fans impersonating their heroes out on the floor at the moment. Might just see a turnover. Instead, Jamie Wadey has one defender to meet her. And as if it was planned, she comes up with her own missed shot. And again, a fresh shot clock. Sophie White hands it off. Here's Carr. Finds White again, finds her way into the paint, and they'll come straight off her hands. Well defended by the Spectres. So Nunawading a chance to put it beyond a single possession if they can find a score here. They looked almost resigned to their fate for just a moment there when they trailed by 2 points. A missed free throw led to a chaotic ball and a foul was called. Jamie Wadey came up with a steal, and so here is White. Sophie White blows by defenders, splits the gap, and utilises the window to finish for two. Overtime basketball is what you're watching. VJBL, Basketball Victoria, providing your entertainment on the Friday night. We're going to see a foul called, and that will be on Sophie White for the Blues, who have 4 personal fouls. So 2 bonus free throws to come here for Camphausen, who has 13 points in this one. And I was the first to say the free throw shooting was leaving a little bit desired in the first half, but they've found a way to drill it in this second half. Hamilton led the way, and how about the free throw shooting now? As if only to prove me wrong. Has been extraordinary, almost a turnover. They're going to have to get it over. And eventually ends up in the hands of Sataya Fagan, who in the process of trying to put the ball to the floor, travels. Almost feels like 2 years of waiting has come to this moment for both these sides. And what entertainment it's been. Hamilton hands it off, receives it again, 8 seconds as she toss up a triple. Instead hands it over to Shanahan. She needs an option, finds one in McMahon, puts the ball to the floor, stepping back to the elbow, catches a bit of the iron, enough to lead to an offensive rebound, but unable to come up with a score. So Nunawading lead it by 2. A turnover almost, it is. Spectres run the ball down the floor, but slowed down here on the dribble. Jemima Lees tosses it over. 3-point basket is good for Zoe Shanahan, who spotted the white square and said, I'm throwing it at you. And it ends up in the bottom of the net. Spectres by 5. Shanahan again, can she repeat it? It's back to her. Wadey closing out, puts it to the floor. Can they find an offensive rebound? No, it's super spectacular by Trinity Vakakavu to hold on to it, and is fouled. She'll see some free throws, and I think it'll be 5 personals for McMahon. In fact, it is. And this superstar of the Nunawading side will have to watch on these final couple of minutes. From the sideline, heads to the bench with 15 points. Has been the shining light across this final series for the Spectres. Incredible ball handling skills. But now watches on. Vakakavu at the line. Is good with the first. This free throw shooting has gone to an extraordinary level in these last few minutes. No score comes easily, but it certainly looks like it, at least from the free throw line at the moment. Nails the second. One possession game here, 71-68. Spectres lead the way. We're going to see a stop. It's going to be a jump ball. It's going to be a Frankston ball. Will they opt for a three-point basket? No one from this blue side has nailed one from the beyond the arc just yet. Do they go inside to Wadey? She's presenting at the elbow. Here's Fagan. Unable to come up with it. Spectres. They're outnumbering the Frankston defenders. Given away too easily in the end. And at the other end, Wadey should finish if she can hold her composure. Rolls out and foul called in the rebounding process. A couple of free throws to come here for Sataya Fagan. Isabel Kennedy, who picked up 4 personals in the first half, finally collects her 5th personal and joins the chorus of players who'll watch on these final couple of minutes from the bench because they've outnumbered the foul count that they're allowed. And so Sataya Fagan misses the first. The pressure is immense. Both teams violate on the... So I just wonder, I thought they might cancel them out. They adjudicate one player to have stepped in first. And it was Danny Hamilton, so there'll be one extra here. Unable to polish off either of those free throws. What about an extra? And again, catches too much iron. And we're going to see free throws here for the Spectres. Sophie White committed the foul. And so it's far too early to say this will ice it, but it'll certainly go one step closer to Nunawading doing what seemed unthinkable with 2 seconds left. Unable to make anything of the first. How about these spectators watching on from the baseline with all the pressure on the world? Unable to finish that one, but instead comes up with a steal, which is just as good. Might make it all the way to the cup. Comes down with the rebound. Fighting for it desperately. Eventually it's the Blues, but another turnover for the Spectres. Given off, finishes. Did Kemphausen. Back out to a 5-point game. Frankston have to find something and find it now. That'll do. 2-point basket for Wadey. Three-point game, 73-70. A minute ticks down to 59 seconds. Here's Fagan. She has 12 points. Can she find a score now? Will we see the first 3-point basket from Frankston? How about this one? Nothing to come from that possession. They'll be careful not to foul up the court here, but it leaves just one defender for Frankston to work with, and Danny Hamilton makes light work of it with 18 points. Was the saviour when she drilled those 2 free throws to send it into overtime. Has been cool, calm, collected and composed. Then almost comes up with a steal. They pressure, triple team, leads to a turnover. We'll see a jump ball here, I imagine. 23 seconds. Frankston will have possession. But is it too much to ask from this Blues side? Referee willing this spectator group to just take one step back. 23 seconds is what remains for Nunawading. A foul reaching into the cookie jar was Kemphausen. Oh, sorry, it's Kemphausen rather who will go to the line, and Vakakavu was the one to reach in and collect her 5th personal. Should be subbed out of the game. And it must be said, you feel if Camphausen can polish off one, even two of these, Spectres will surely write their name into the history books with a famous win here on a Friday evening. BJBL VC. Under 16 girls grand final. Camphausen. This is the first. Is the door ajar here for Frankston? How quickly can they score? 6-point game. Timeout requested here by the Blues. They'll advance the ball. They'll want to drain a 3, one would imagine, and put pressure back on the Spectres with a 6-point game, 76-70. There's time to be played with 20 seconds left, but not much of it. So it's a 6-point game, 20 seconds left. Frankston to inbound. They trail by 6 points. Will want to score and score quickly if they can make something of this overtime period. Or will the under-16 girls VC Championship Division Grand Final fall the way of the Spectres? Well, that will draw things ever so slightly closer. A glorious finish from Madison Carr, who just willed her way to the cup, and Nunawading were left looking like deers in headlights. And so it's a 4-point game. They use about 4 seconds of the clock in the process. 15.8 remains. But for the Spectres, with a 4-point margin, it's about seeing this time run down as quickly as they can. And if they head to the free throw line, it's about converting. But Frankston, while a turnover would just about be the only thing that can keep this Blues side in this one. Ticking towards 9:30 on your Friday night. You're watching the pinnacle of under-16 girls basketball in Victoria. Jemima Lees to inbound here for the Spectres. Can they hold on to the ball for 15.8 seconds? Will Frankston get a turnover? Two big bodies defend the inbound. Will they get it in? Over defending, and it's fruitful for Frankston. Taps it up. Here's Jamie Wadey, but she couldn't come up with it. It came also close to a sniff there for Frankston, but it was a chaotic ball, led to a chaotic moment. Might just lead to an Nunawading championship. 1.8 seconds left, foul called. It's over. The Spectres will be champions. And Jamie Wadey, who's played such a pivotal role for Frankston, will have to revel in defeat from the sidelines with her 5th personal foul. And as if only to rub salt into the wound, Zoe Shanahan. An incredible first free throw, an even better second. 6 points. Will that be the final margin? The ball is hoiked. It matters little. Nunawading are champions. The Spectres They come from behind in the dying seconds. They send it to overtime, and they are victors. Vanquishing this Frankston Blues side into a runners-up position in an incredible match of basketball written straight into the history books. VJBL, Victorian Junior Basketball League, VC champions, Nunawading Spectres. What a game of basketball you've just witnessed. It took overtime to decide it, and in the end, the Spectres, who surely went into tonight's game feeling like they were going to run away with it. They looked at when they led by 17 points. And when it came down to Danny Hamilton shooting 2 free throws with 1.8 seconds left to tie it up, she did exactly that. Nunawading Spectres, they win it. An incredible game of basketball, and the action continues. Under 16 boys warming up here on court 4. What a game of basketball. You've been watching Basketball Victoria's VJBL Grand Finals, VJBL VC Championship, live from the State Basketball Centre in Melbourne. My name's been Tyson Whelan. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the Under 16 boys game. Until then, goodbye.